Mornings for me start by giving each of my horses their own separate rationer. This helps to ensure that they are getting the appropriate amount of nutrients that they need to be able to support where they're at within their life phase, whether that's breeding, riding, growing, or whatever it may be. I used to just put out mineral tubs, however, I found that some horses were consuming more than they needed, and then other horses weren't getting enough that they needed. So, by switching to individual rations for each horse, I've been able to better manage their nutritional needs. Nugget and Rain also get a little bit of the balancer. They don't get as much as the other horses, but they still do need to have their nutritional needs met along with everyone else. So I'm going to go ahead and give them their portion of their ration balancer. And today, one of them has decided to toss around their little water bucket. So I'm going to get that, clean it up, give it a nice little scrub, and pour in some fresh water. For these two, I don't have a hose out to their pen or any other way to provide them with access to water other than with me physically bringing it out to them. So for about the next month or so, or if they sell before then, I will be packing water to them about 2 to 3 times a day, just depending on how much they're drinking. I don't ever want them to be without. I want them to always have access to water, because once they start going without, that's when you can run into trouble and problems, whether that be colic or just one of the many things that horses can have go wrong with them. So I'm always monitoring their water situation. My goal right now with them is to hopefully have them sold within this month. However, if that does not happen, that's okay. I will just continue to develop and work with them, and they will then be moved into a different pen where they have access to water easier than with me having to bring it out. I won't have to bring it out as often to them. So that will be nice when that happens. Obviously, I cannot do any of my chores in this pen without the help of Nugget. She is my supervisor and makes sure that I don't miss out on giving them anything that could possibly be hidden in that cart that they should have. She also likes to inspect all of the lids off of the water jugs just to make sure that, they're solid, they're not leaking anything. All the other horses are starting to finish up with their rationer, so they're coming over to also see what I'm doing. They really have a fascination with this pink bucket. Even though I'm just pouring water into it, for some reason, they feel so left out that they don't also get to enjoy that pink bucket. And it just kind of drives a few of them a little bit crazy and a little jealous, and they get a little bit kind of crabby and cranky towards the other horses. So it's just kind of funny to watch them be a little bit put off by the fact that even though they have other sources of water, they really just want this one source that they cannot have. Once Nugget and Rain have, for the most part, finished up with their rationer, I will go ahead and just put the buckets out for the other horses to kind of finish up a little bit of it. It's the exact same stuff that I am feeding the older horses, just a different portion size for what these two are getting. And usually by the time they are done, there's not much left in the bucket, but there is still some. So I just like to put it out for the others. Whoever gets there to it first can have it. It's not going to hurt the other horses to have a little bit more. It's maybe 1 or 2 bites. So it's not a huge deal for them to have just that little bit extra. chores ended up taking me just a hair longer than I had anticipated, but I still had plenty of time where I was at least able to work with Rooster today. So to give you guys just a little bit of a history on Rooster, he's my 10-year-old stallion. I've had him since he was a yearling. For the past, I want to say 5-6 years or so, he's been a range stallion. And a range horse, whether it's a broodmare, stallion, even the young horses were ran just out in the open on the range with very minimal handling. That's the thing with a range horse. They get minimal handling. They don't have a lot of attention done to basic skills, basic manners, any of those kind of things. So with the dissolving of that previous partnership, which thank goodness it's dissolved, I can now hold my horses to a higher standard. One of those is expecting them to be able to pick up their feet. And you can see here, Rooster kind of struggles with it a little bit for his fronts. Nothing terrible. When the farrier was out here to do him, this is about how he reacted for his fronts. He did get a little bit startled with the nippers and the rasp, which that I did expect. However, I did not expect him to not be able to hold up his hooves. So that rope you've seen that I used with him, that's just a nice big soft rope. It's not even tied to his leg. It's just there as a way to help me kind of be able to hold his leg if he wants to fight it, because I don't physically have the strength to fight against him. But if I can use that rope for him to kind of go against himself, then it just seems to make the whole process click a little bit easier for the horses in general. So I just want to make sure he's good for both front feet. He was good, like I said, for the farrier with both front feet. However, the back hind feet, he was terrible for. He really kicked out, and I know it's nothing pain related or anything like that. He's fine as far as that goes. It was just him 100% not wanting to do it and being defiant about it. And my farrier was absolutely amazing. Never once did he lose his temper in regards to how Rooster behaved during the entire situation. And I was really happy with that. However, I was, like I said, so embarrassed with how he behaved, and I'm embarrassed to show you guys how he acted. But as you can see, the front feet, he does absolutely amazing with. Onto the hind legs. He really isn't too terrible for this side. You'll see that I can pull it forward and he does okay with it. He's a little testy still, but nothing too bad. If this was the level of testy that he was for the whole duration of it, I would be okay with that. It's something we can definitely still keep improving on. However, it's when he starts getting really more defiant that it becomes difficult to manage. So I just want to ask him to bring the leg up and under him in a forward direction and just relax it and hold it. And when he relaxes it is when I will let him loose and just completely let him have his leg back. However, until he relaxes it, I don't want to give him it, because if I give him it, then he's just going to know that I don't really have to hold up my leg. So I'm using the rope to keep me out of any sort of potential getting kicked as much as I possibly can, and because it's easier for me to hold the rope than it is for me to be holding onto his hoof and having his hoof so close to me and trying to just make sure that I stay safe. So I felt like he was doing pretty good right there, so I go ahead and I just reach down, pick up his hoof, take the rope off. When I go to walk him back with the foot, so to take it back like they would to nip it and stuff, that's when he really gets a little testy about it and really puts in a lot of oomph at kind of kicking. So I have to go ahead and readdress the situation. I know if I leave him loose doing that, he could just kind of kick out, potentially kick me, and walk forward in the whole process. I decided at this point it was probably safer to secure him to the fence And I don't like to hard tie my horses, so he's not hard tied. He's just loosely wrapped to the fence so that if something were to truly happen and freak him out or something, he could get away safely and not be hurt. I don't know if you noticed Hannah in the last video where she has that kind of neck kink. I 100% believe that that is something that was caused to her by a fence, by a tying incident, whether it was tied to a fence or whatever. Something related to tying is why I believe that caused the problem with her, which is why she's also so apprehensive to the halter. So I'm going to go ahead and put the rope back around him. And again, this rope is not secured to him. It is just draped over his foot pretty much. He could easily get out of it if he really put his mind to it. And I'm just going to pull his leg away from him. And you can see he really kicks with a lot of oomph. And when he does that, it's a lot of force. It's hard to hold that rope. I didn't get any rope burns, luckily, because this rope is very soft and supple. But he gets very just persistent about not wanting to do when he doesn't want to do it. So I've kept at this with him on this leg for quite a bit, you're going to see, and eventually he does relax and stop fighting it so much to a point that when we hit a good point, I'm able to just stop with him. Onto his right side. So the first thing I want to do is just move him away from the fence so that I have some space to be between him and the fence so I'm not kind of squished in there. I really want to avoid getting hurt as much as possible. Having been hurt from horses before, it's something that is always on the forefront of my mind. It's just my safety and my horse's safety. So I'm going to move him over. When I do that, he gets a little bit bracy and kind of sets back. And this is just, again, one of those reasons why I do not hard tie. But he doesn't pull back, so I'm just able to get him redirected and come back forward. Again, I'm going to take that rope, just run it around his back leg. It's loose. If he wants out of it, he truly can get out of it. You're going to see he does something a little bit different here. So instead of just kicking out like he was doing with his other leg, he's smartened up. This time, he's going to take that leg out and just push it out there and step down so that he starts slowly moving us back towards that fence. When he started doing that, I went, oh great, I've got to figure out how to outsmart this horse again so that we can accomplish the task I'm trying to accomplish, which is getting him to be okay with his hind legs being handled. So Again, I lift it up, ask him to move it, and he does it again. I then try, okay, what if I come a little bit farther back? And he still just puts himself into it. Like, you clever pony. Which, yeah, he is a very, very clever pony. But he's starting to set it up to where I can't do the task I need because he's putting himself in a position to avoid it. And like I said, this isn't anything pain related. This is completely a leadership question and problem with him. It's something that he's trying to see who really is in charge here. And as a stallion, they do say they will test you more than most horses do, which I would completely agree with. He 100% does. So he still kind of throws a fit with this one, but this one he throws the fit a little differently. This side, it's more that testing, like, I'm gonna just kind of put it where I want to put it. And I was actually surprised that once we got through, like, I'm still gonna keep asking you this, he came around pretty quickly with this side. Never really had those huge moments. On the other side, he really would push out and kind of kick out. This side, he didn't do that too bad, and I was able to kind of be able to put myself into a position where I was able to just hold it eventually. So, kind of a little bit surprised with how he did on this side. Also, I knew this was going to be the harder side, and just his level of cleverness was something I wasn't really expecting. So that's a wrap with Rooster. He really was a pretty good boy. Yes, we still have those little issues there we need to work on and those moments of kicking out. But as you can see here, he's pretty calm, happy as can be. He isn't too phased about it. This whole session lasted about 25-30 minutes, and he's still happy. So I took him out, let him graze, get some grass before I put him away with Casper. Then it was time for me to start onto my evening checks with the mares just to see if anyone's getting close to foaling, see kind of what's happening. I don't think anyone's quite yet ready to foal. They're all still, I'd say, a little bit of ways away. I have some that are starting to make up pretty good bags, but I don't have any waxing yet. Kit Kat's showing signs of being a little bit uncomfortable, which could be an indication that she's perhaps starting to head into early stages of getting, labor, but not quite labor yet. And of course, I had my usual extremely friendly trio of Pumpkin, Shadow, Lola, Ebony, all just kind of wanting attention, and naturally I have to give it to them. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like. If you have not yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as I want to still be able to bring you guys more and more content, kind of showing you more of what goes on with raising and producing horses, so that you guys can get to know these horses a little bit better, get to know their little personalities, and just enjoy the process of what it's like raising and producing horses. So anyways, I will see you all next time. Bye!